You ever notice how sometimes a woman's words and her actions just don't line up? Like she says one thing, but her energy tells a completely different story. You feel it in your gut. Something's off, but you can't quite put your finger on it. That's because women, consciously or not, hide things about how they think, feel, and test men. And these little secrets, they decide whether she respects you, desires you, or quietly loses interest while pretending everything's fine. Most men never see it coming because they're focused on what she says, not what she shows. See, women live in layers. What you see on the surface, the smiles, the compliments, even the affection, that's often just the cover story. Underneath, there's a deeper level where attraction, emotional safety, and respect truly live. And if you don't understand that level, you'll always feel like you're playing catch up in relationships. That's why I'm going to reveal 7 secrets women don't want men to know, not because they're manipulative, but because these truths give away how they really operate when it comes to love and power dynamics. Here's the first one. And it's the foundation of everything. Women are constantly testing you, even when it doesn't look like they are. Every argument, every delay in replying to your message, every sarcastic comment or sudden mood shift, it's all data to her. She's not always doing it on purpose, but her subconscious is asking, can I trust this man's strength? Can I relax in his presence, or do I have to take control? Because deep down, every woman is drawn to emotional security, a man whose energy stays grounded no matter what she throws at him. You ever notice how, in the beginning, she might playfully push your buttons? Maybe she'll tease you, act distant, or challenge something you said. Most men take that personally. They think, well, why is she being difficult? I was just being nice, but what she's really doing is checking if your confidence is real, or just surface level. A woman can sense fake confidence instantly. When you don't get reactive, when you stay calm and centered, that's when she starts feeling something shift. That's when she starts respecting you. But here's the secret part. She'll never admit that she tests you, because if she did, it would give away the psychology behind attraction. It would expose how much emotional power she actually gives to the way you respond. Women are emotional detectives. They read tone, timing, and subtle energy better than words. And when a man loses his frame, when he gets defensive, angry, or desperate to fix things, she unconsciously labels him as emotionally weak, even if he's a good guy. That's why so many nice men get rejected or friend-zoned, while the calm, self-assured ones seem to have women chasing them without even trying. There's a quiet truth most men miss. Women don't fall for the man who says the right thing. They fall for the man who feels right, the man whose presence tells her, I'm not going anywhere, no matter how unpredictable you get. That's emotional dominance, not control, but steadiness. It's what separates a man she respects from a man she tolerates. And that's just the first layer. Because once you understand that women test men to measure their emotional depth, you start noticing the other secrets, the ones that go beyond testing, the ones that reveal how women really fall in love, lose interest, or keep a man hooked without saying a word, without saying all right, let's go deeper. Here's the second secret women don't want men to know. And it's one that explains why so many men end up confused after things seem to be going great. It's this. Women crave emotional unpredictability, not instability, but mystery. The truth is, women are wired to be drawn to what keeps their emotions awake. If everything feels predictable, safe, and easy too soon, her attraction starts to fade quietly. She won't even fully understand why. She'll just start feeling less excited, less curious, less drawn to you. And she'll tell herself she's just not feeling it anymore. Most men think making a woman happy means giving her comfort, stability, and constant reassurance. And yes, those things matter, but only after she's emotionally hooked. In the beginning, women are pulled toward the man who makes them feel something unexpected. It's not about being toxic or playing games, it's about maintaining that edge of intrigue. When she can't completely read you, when she feels like there's more to discover about who you are, her attraction deepens. Think about it like this, when you first meet a woman, she's drawn to the unknown parts of you. that mystery, that calm confidence, that sense that you have your own world that doesn't revolve around her. But the moment she feels like she completely understands you, every thought, every routine, every reaction, the emotional excitement starts to die. Women bond through emotion, not logic. So if the emotions fade, the connection fades. That's why she might start pulling away even when you've done everything right. Here's where it gets psychological. Women subconsciously equate emotional excitement with attraction, the same chemical that fires when she's nervous, curious, or even slightly jealous. That's dopamine. It's the same neurochemical behind desire. So when you give her that emotional variety, when you're unpredictable in a healthy, grounded way, you become the man who keeps her emotionally alive. One day you're serious and focused, the next you're teasing her and making her laugh. One moment you're fully present, the next you're back chasing your purpose. That emotional rhythm, that unavailability mixed with depth, is what hooks her. Now here's the twist. Look, a woman will never admit this because it sounds wrong. They don't want to say, I lose interest when a man becomes too available. But deep down, it's the truth. When you make her your entire emotional world too soon, she feels the imbalance. She feels your energy chasing hers. And feminine energy doesn't respond to being chased. It responds to being drawn in. That's the paradox of attraction. So when she starts acting distant or quiet, most men panic. They over-text, over-explain, or try harder to win her back. But what actually reignites her attraction isn't effort. It's mystery. When she can't read where you stand, when she feels like she might be losing your attention, that's when she starts to reinvest. That's when her curiosity turns back into desire, because now she's wondering again, she's feeling again. And here's where it gets deeper. The third secret goes beyond attraction. It's about how women emotionally attach, and why some men stay in their hearts long after they're gone. It's not about looks or status. It's about something far more invisible. All right, let's step into the third secret, and this one explains why some men leave a permanent mark on a woman's heart, even when the relationship ends. It's this. Women don't bond through logic, they bond through emotional imprinting. See, every woman remembers how a man made her feel. Not what he said, not what he bought her, but the emotions he awakened in her. The men she can't forget are the ones who touched something deeper, not just her body or her mind, but her emotional memory. That's where real attachment begins. When you create emotional experiences that leave a mark, laughter, calmness, intensity, depth, she starts to associate you with those emotions. It's almost like her subconscious builds a pattern around your presence. So even if she moves on, she'll still feel that energy when she thinks of you. It's not rational, it's chemical. That's why women can't unfeel a man who left a deep emotional signature. Here's what most men get wrong. They think consistency means being emotionally flat. They avoid expressing too much or showing vulnerability because they believe it looks weak. But emotional connection doesn't come from hiding your feelings. It comes from being real in a grounded, masculine way. When you show her calm strength and emotional depth, she feels safe opening up emotionally too. And that emotional exchange, that's the glue. That's the invisible thread that makes her feel like you get her in a way most men don't. Think of the last time you had a deep conversation with a woman and for a moment, the walls dropped. You weren't trying to impress her. You weren't trying to win her over. You were just present. In that silence between words, she felt something real. That's emotional imprinting. It's when your authenticity hits her soul. And the thing is, she won't tell you that moment mattered. She might even act indifferent later, but deep down, she remembers it. That's why women often say, I don't know what it is about him. I just can't stop thinking about him. What she's describing isn't logic, it's an emotional echo. You awakened something she didn't expect, something that made her feel alive. And here's the part most men miss. You don't create that by being perfect. You create it by being present. Because presence is power. When you're truly there, not distracted, not overanalyzing, she feels seen. And when a woman feels truly seen, She'll never forget that feeling. But there's another side to this. Emotional imprinting can also work against you if you create negative emotional patterns. If she constantly feels anxious, unseen, or uncertain around you, she'll associate you with pain. And once that happens, no amount of "I'll do better" can fix it. That's why it's so important to stay emotionally grounded because whatever emotion you feed her most consistently becomes how she remembers you. And here's the truth women rarely talk about. Sometimes they'll pull away, not because they stopped loving you, but because your energy stopped making them feel the way they used to. The connection didn't fade, the emotional rhythm did. Now that you understand emotional imprinting, the real key to lasting connection, the next secret reveals something deeper: how women use silence to communicate what words never can. It's one of the most misunderstood signals in female psychology, and most men completely misread it. All right, let's go deeper. The fourth secret women don't want men to know is hidden in something that confuses almost every guy: her silence. When a woman goes quiet, it's never just silence, it's communication. You just have to learn how to hear it. See, men and women handle emotional tension in completely different ways. When a man feels something's wrong, he often tries to fix it logically. He wants to talk it out, solve the problem, move forward. But when a woman goes silent, she's not just thinking, she's feeling, she's processing emotions, replaying experiences, and deciding what your silence or your reaction really means about you. Her silence can mean she's hurt but doesn't feel safe expressing it. It can mean she's testing whether you'll notice her emotional withdrawal, whether you're attuned to her or too lost in your own world to sense her pullback. And sometimes it means she's already half checked out emotionally, quietly detaching while pretending everything's fine. Here's the thing: women rarely announce emotional disconnection. They show it through micro behaviors. The slower replies and the shorter answers, the colder body language. It's not drama, it's her way of protecting herself. When she feels misunderstood or when she senses that her emotions don't land with you anymore, she pulls inward. And when she does, most men react the wrong way. They either chase harder, bombarding her with texts, questions, or reassurance, or they pull away out of pride, thinking she's just being distant. Both responses kill connection. The man who stands out is the one who stays present through her silence, who notices but doesn't panic, who gives her space but doesn't disappear, who understands that silence is her emotional shield, not her rejection. When you can hold space for her energy, when you can sense the storm without trying to control it, that's when she starts feeling emotionally safe again. That's when she begins to open back up. Here's the deeper psychology. Feminine energy needs to trust that masculine energy won't collapse under emotional weight. Silence is often a woman's subconscious way of asking, "Can you stay grounded even when I'm not easy to read?" She doesn't say it out loud because she wants to feel your strength, not hear you promise it. That's why emotional presence, your ability to be still, patient, and observant, speaks louder than any apology or explanation ever could. But let's be honest, her silence can also be a quiet goodbye, and that's what most men fail to recognize. When she stops complaining, stops arguing, stops caring, that's not peace, that's emotional exhaustion. Women fight for what they still feel something for. So when she stops reacting completely, it's usually not indifference, it's resignation. And by the time a man realizes that, it's often too late. So if a woman's silence makes you uncomfortable, remember, it's a mirror. It reflects your ability to handle uncertainty, to stay calm without control. Because women don't just fall for men who talk, they fall for men who listen beyond words. But the next secret, it's what happens when a woman finally feels safe enough to let her emotional guard down, and how that moment can completely change the way she sees you forever. Most men mistake it for vulnerability, but it's actually the moment she decides whether you're the one or just another experience. All right, let's bring it home. The fifth and final secret women don't want men to know is the moment her walls come down. The moment she lets you see the real her, the parts she hides from the world. Most men think that when a woman finally opens up emotionally, it's just vulnerability, but it's much deeper than that. It's a silent test, a final emotional check to see who you really are when faced with her raw truth. When a woman starts to trust you, she'll slowly drop her guard. She'll show you her insecurities, her doubts, her fears. Maybe it's how she gets anxious over small things, how she overthinks your silence, or how she questions her own worth when she feels distant from you. That's not weakness. That's her subconscious saying, I want to trust you with the parts I don't show anyone. And in that moment, what you do next decides everything. If you get defensive, judge her, or make her feel silly for feeling deeply, she'll shut down. Not immediately, but quietly. She'll retreat behind that emotional wall, and no matter how much you try after, something in her will never fully reopen. But if you stay calm, grounded, and patient, if you see her without trying to fix her, you'll unlock something rare. That's the kind of emotional safety most women spend years looking for and almost never find. Because here's the truth, a woman's deepest desire isn't just love. It's emotional understanding, to be seen without judgment, to feel accepted in both her chaos and her calm. When she senses that from you, she starts to relax. Her energy softens, her walls drop. That's when she begins to give you parts of her that no man has seen before. Not because you asked, but because your energy made her feel safe enough to want to. And that's the real secret, is women don't open up because of words or promises. They open up because of how they feel around you. When she feels that masculine steadiness, that quiet confidence that doesn't waver when she's emotional, that's when she knows she's found something real. You see, women don't want men to know this because it gives away their emotional power. It reveals the truth that behind all the mystery, the tests, the moods, what they really crave is a man who can hold emotional space without losing himself. A man who doesn't chase her energy, but leads it. A man who doesn't need to be louder to be stronger. And once you understand that, once you learn how to read what she doesn't say, to see beyond the surface, and to meet her emotions with calm depth, everything about how women respond to you begins to change. She stops pulling away. She starts leaning in, not because you forced it, but because she feels it. That's the kind of presence that doesn't need to prove itself. It just is. And that's what every woman secretly hopes to find. A man whose strength isn't in his words, but in his energy. So remember this. The secrets women don't want you to know aren't about manipulation or control. They're about awareness. Once you understand female psychology, you stop reacting and start leading with calm, masculine clarity. You stop chasing validation and start commanding respect. And when that shift happens, women can feel it instantly, not in your words, but in your presence. That's the real code. Unlocked.